Bitcoin futures and I think Ethereum futures and so forth will exist, and Bitcoin ETFs have not. And that feels a little inconsistent to me. As an observer, and I'm now in academia, but it feels a little inconsistent. Even though the laws aren't exactly the same, they're quite similar.
That's right, another shocking video emerging of the man in charge of approving a Bitcoin spot ETF effectively saying that he agrees there should be a spot Bitcoin ETF. But even more so, we're gonna talk about this chart right here and how it, in my opinion, summarizes exactly where we are in this Bitcoin and crypto cycle. We're gonna hit you with the top news of today. And most of all, let's get excited because crypto has not been this amazing, this interesting for literally years. But before we do that, I want to jump in and just say, oh my God, I recorded this video. It was literally an hour-and-a-half raw file about gaming. And you can see here, 92,000 views. That's way more than the average here. We're usually doing about 50. The good video is doing about 50, and this is doing 92. It's gonna hit 100,000 views. So people keep asking me, is crypto back? And I'm thinking we're back.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Right, that was a little John Wick for you. But what I love most of all about this industry is not just macro analysis, headline analysis, or general crypto news videos. I love the deep dives, the deep stuff where I get into the weeds, start pulling apart projects, narratives, and giving you my honest feedback. It's not just a lover of this industry, but someone who loves to play the game and loves to stay current on what the game play looks like. So message received, loud and clear. I will be doing a lot more content. And if you guys got some value out of that 41-minute video that is jam-packed and took a long time to put together, then make sure to subscribe because I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more of that type of content in the near future now that crypto has finally broken through that 32K resistance. And I told you guys exactly when I was gonna start making this content, and I hope you guys have found that I've been delivering, not only on accurate predictions for the overall market, but on the types of content and deliveries that you're gonna see here on this channel. And this is just the beginning. Now to add even more magic to this moment, we are looking at a massive golden cross here on Bitcoin. The golden crosses, if you look back at the last few times this happened, we got a 50% pump here from the middle of 2021. And we also got a 50% pump here from early 2023 before the golden cross undid itself and is now about to redo it. A 50% pump from here would be above $50,000, which would absolutely shatter the next significant level for Bitcoin. And at that point, anyone calling for 12K, I feel like you can pretty much just ignore them. So just in case you were wondering, are people really taking notice of this new Bitcoin movement, this new Bitcoin narrative that's been developing? Well, in my opinion, yes. And it's not just my opinion. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to Google Trends, which has long been used as just a general proxy to understanding are normies or the mainstream people at all interested in this topic of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? And if they are, how does that compare to historical trends? Well, my friends, the answer might actually surprise you in that, check this out. Bitcoin's interest over time has surged to, as you can see, making its way up towards that 100% mark. That means that searches for Bitcoin globally are almost at an all-time high. Searches for Bitcoin. I'm gonna say that one again so you can really let it sink into your loins here. Searches for Bitcoin globally are almost at an all-time high, okay? But the reality is that I know what most of you are feeling. Oh no, not again. A sucker's rally. It doesn't make sense. The macro, the recession, everything must fall apart. I don't believe this. I don't believe it. And that's what a lot of people are thinking. Even the bulls, like myself, as you guys know, this is bull market EllioTrades. It has been for quite some time now. I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly where I flipped bullish. Obviously, my videos since the beginning of 2023 mentioned that I was buying and selling different projects for the first time in a long time. You can see the week of March 12th through 19th, which is when the first bank bailout started to manifest. I flipped and said, this is the biggest moment for Bitcoin, and this is a total change in direction. And I'm very, very happy with that change of stance I made because I believe that's truly when the market flipped personally, but more on that another time. The point here is that whether you're bullish or whether you're bearish, most people don't believe what they're seeing. As a bull, it's almost too good to be true. Can it possibly be that the market looks this sexy again, this juicy for gains, and it's just gonna be as easy as YOLOing money into crypto to get rich once more again? Is it possible? And the bears, of course, are equally in disbelief. How could it pump this high? The economy, the recession, interest rates, blah, 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 the debt, disbelief. And it just so happens that if you line up the actual price chart of Bitcoin over the actual psychology of a market cycle, if you guys have seen that classic chart where this has been around in traditional markets for literally decades and decades, right? It's actually derived from the 1929 stock market, which if you see disbelief comes before hope, and it is actually the beginning of the best part of the cycle. I tweeted this earlier. If you were 100% honest, 100%, not 92, not 83, but 100. If you were keeping it 100 with me, which I hope you always do, right? You'd agree that disbelief is the exact way to describe what people are feeling right now. To be clear, I'm bullish overall since the bank bailouts. We've talked about this. I totally get the bear's perspective, as there's a lot of logic for big crash, recession, etc., but I'm seeing more support than resistance for price. Again, you guys have known my thesis is generally election year, end of the hiking cycle. In general, Bitcoin could become this safe haven asset, ETF speculation, a flight to quality, as we're seeing here, as described by the one financial influencer that we should all be following, which is Larry Fink. Now, all of these things seem to be a massive cocktail for Bitcoin catching a bid. And it could be that people stealing customer deposits to dump Bitcoin on the open market and no longer being able to do that might just be a little bullish for this incredible best performing asset class of all time. Maybe. Maybe, just maybe. But regardless of who you are and where you stand on this whole issue, you must admit that this is an uncanny and striking resemblance between the price chart of Bitcoin and really this overall psychology of a market cycle. And if you were being one more degree honest with yourself, you'd agree that you too, whether you're bullish or bearish, are in some form of disbelief around this price action. I know I am. And that means that if this were to follow the astrology here, the degen astrology, that would mean that we'd be coming into effectively a new bull cycle here. And of course, that is what the charts would suggest. As you can see here, this blue line was the place of resistance here. This was a ton of resistance here, here, and it goes back into the bull run. But you can see once this was broken, the question is, will we come back and test this? Which I think is probably more than likely. But you can see Bitcoin doesn't even want to come close to this number with the lowest wick here. This was around 33, right? The low 33s. You're not even getting a wick down to the 32K levels. The translation here is that the bulls are downright horny. The bulls are not even letting the bears get close to these risky levels, like that retest of that number, that 32K. And this shows that there is a lot of buy pressure coming in. Most importantly, you can see that as people who might have missed out, the disbelievers at the low price points of 20K and 25K and 30K and sub 30K, well, they're now thinking to themselves, where do I get in now? Where do I get in? And they're waiting to buy the perfect pullback. But what you're seeing is there's a lot of money there trying to buy that pullback. And that's why it's not coming down to that number, because more money is getting in higher and higher than that number. Bitcoin sitting clean above 34,000 a week after this breakout is nothing short of strength. That's just what it is. Super strong on Bitcoin. Now, my strategy is very simple now. What I'm going to look at is what's going on in the entire market. Don't get emotional. Don't freak out, and just literally observe how money flows around the market next. I personally have my own plays that I'm looking at. They're not things I'm going to share here right now. I like doing deep dives, but I want them to be as analytical and long-term thesis oriented as possible. Now, I will say I'm starting to develop a huge thesis based on the coin movements that I saw over the last week. And that thesis will most likely infuriate a ton of people. In fact, I tweeted this. I have a video coming up that I'm sure people will hate me for. I don't care though. I'm going to call it as I see it. Obviously, the comments under that were super positive, super encouraging. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to start calling things as I see them. I've been in this game a long time, and my only goal here is to make the best content I can and the best trades that I can. And if you guys support that, you know what to do. Smash the like button. I don't believe there's many other creators on YouTube that are going to deliver this type of content. So if you guys value that, you know what to do. Please support the channel, subscribe, like. That's all I ask for. Now, the final piece of news I want to say here is that CME is now the second largest Bitcoin futures exchange. And this is a very positive development, because this means that the wild, wild west of crypto is gradually coming into the traditional financial sector. And this is bullish, because the more this happens, the less of a dark shadow crypto is going to have on it. The more of these big regulated players are having a ton of volume, the more that they're going to become massive Bitcoin fans and less trying to stand in the way of the industry. You saw that clip from Gary Gensler at the beginning of the video. There's no doubt that the SEC and the chair of the SEC and literally everyone in the world knows that a Bitcoin spot ETF is coming. BlackRock is out there literally shilling our bags to the next generation of investors. You of every company, country, pension fund, asset manager, whatever, looking to one-click add some Bitcoin exposure to their portfolios as soon as this ETF goes live. And my friends, it is a very fun time to be in crypto. Does that mean that we can't get a massive plunge downwards? Of course we can. And that's why I haven't just YOLO'd everything in. Though of course, when I got bullish, YOLOing everything into the crypto markets would have probably been the right plan. But I just don't want to live with that amount of stress. I'm an enjoyer of the markets. I enjoy seeing them go up. I enjoy seeing them pull back. And as things pull back, the higher we go, I will diversify more and more into fun altcoins. So to summarize, we have the head of the SEC essentially admitting now, which invalidates any criticism of the Bitcoin ETF, that this thing should be approved. It's going to get improved. There's no leg left to stand on. 2, every single asset manager is looking at Bitcoin. While getting their heads chopped off in traditional markets, Bitcoin is pumping like mad. 3, Larry Fink, that's just it. 4, we have an election year. We have 5, global instability geopolitically. And 6, we have a huge new reason to print money, which is wars. All of these things are tailwinds for Bitcoin. Again, disbelief is the absolute moment we're in. That's what I feel. And that's what I think everybody, if they were being 100% honest, feels. But the real question is, are people so angry and so in disbelief now because they're off sides? Do they genuinely think the market's going to crash? And what do you think is going to happen next? I'm curious what the audience thinks, because I know my thesis has been pretty clear. Once the Fed blinks and starts adding money to the economy, once we see cracks, we know that, hey, look, they're going to have to print sooner or later. And that moment I feel like is fast approaching, if not already here, and Bitcoin very well might just be front running it. As always, if you guys have enjoyed this content, getting ahead and staying ahead of this market, if you enjoyed that deep dive into gaming and you're excited for many more similarly deep videos on gaming, then please smash that like button and get excited, because I believe the next few years are going to be wildly fun times here in crypto land. As always, I'll see you very soon on the next episode.